Hi there. Now this is an impromptu video because I thought I'm going to go for a short, slow stroll just to do some mindfulness. And I thought, why not let you guys join in? Now, excuse the state of me, I'm very windswept, got no makeup on, absolutely exhausted after extremely difficult week. As I said in my earlier post, I find Remembrance Week extremely emotional and extremely tiring, as we remember. So it's the perfect time for getting some mindfulness in, using the surroundings to allow our mind to really relax, focus on that, and just take some time out. Now it's pretty damp, it was a massive storm yesterday, and overnight, horrendous amount of rain. But I've actually found the puddles that have been left behind really interesting. Now, I dropped my phone yesterday, so one of my ponies was quite wet, and people who have horses know that when ponies are wet they like to rub along straw and hay because it must sort of, I guess, soothe that itchiness that they get. And as I was wheeling some straw bales across a muddy wet field to try and make the shelter all lovely for them, Titch, who's one of my little ones, decided to roll against the wheelbarrow and knock me over and my phone got dunked, and as a result most of it doesn't work anymore, so I can't actually flip the camera. I have to stay on one, so you've stuck with this, I'm afraid. But let me show you why I love the Fens, and this is why I think being out in the country really helps with that mindfulness and that meditative state that we could all do with getting into. Now, I love mindfulness, I love meditation, and I think that if we just did 5 minutes a day, keep dropping my phone, 5 minutes a day, that has so many health benefits with stress and anxiety and all sorts of things. So I would recommend that you give it a go. Now, I'm going to let you see what's around me. So just hang on, let me pan with my... It's very sparse. But because it's so sparse, when you find something to focus on, it's really interesting. So something as simple as all of the puddles and the horse hoof prints where people have been for a ride. Looking at the trees, and can you hear the birds in the distance? I think I can hear 2 or 3 different birds. I'm just focusing on that, trying to pinpoint. If you're good at birds, you might even work out what they are, but just trying to pinpoint how many sounds you can hear. So I can hear the road that's just far back over there. I can hear some birds. And even simple things like looking at these thistles. Looking at all the different textures and the way they gently move in the breeze. Mindfulness really is about finding those little details, listening to those little noises, and really focusing on them. In the Fens, we don't have a lot of trees. We have a lot of farmland. So when you find the trees, it's lovely to really examine them. And at the moment, most have lost their leaves, but the ones that do remain have colours. They're not that full autumn stunning beauty that you get, but we've got a tree up the drove here, and as the wind goes through the leaves, it just makes a funny little noise. So just looking at all the different colours, admiring all the different textures on the bark. And then as we go up the drove, looking at how each one compares to the next. There is really something to say about being out in the country to help with your mindset and your mood. Grounding is really, really important. And we're better to ground than being out with nature. Now, whether I have limited mobility, so I have to be careful, I can't walk very far anymore, but just a few steps out here is enough. If you have a wheelchair, just bring that out, or even a camping chair, just to sit and just enjoy touching the trees, feeling the ground. I love in the summer being able to feel the grass underneath my feet. Definitely wouldn't be doing it this time of year with all this mud, but everywhere has nature somewhere, whether it's in a town where you have a little park or a little garden or a little walkway. Everywhere has something, and it's tapping into that and using everything to your advantage. I love woodlands. I love going through the woods. I love trees. I find them really peaceful, calming and grounding. And we don't have many here, but when I do find one, I love looking at them. I love enjoying them, because trees are really important for a multitude of reasons. But to me, I love looking at the details. I love looking at how the moss grows. So these trees are all along dikes. And as you can see, they're all heavily covered in moss. And just looking at how that moss has formed and it's gradually taking over the branches. The trees all look quite naked and quite striking when they haven't got the leaves on them. And I don't know if you can just hear that, the wind just making all the branches tap. The birds again, the cars in the distance. And that's really all you need for mindfulness, is the ability to find somewhere where you can get 5 minutes just to allow your mind to rest of your day-to-day clutter, allowing it to enjoy what's around you, allowing it to settle. If you're really lucky, you might see some wildlife. We have deer, foxes, lots of rabbits, hare, all sorts of things in the area, birds, the pheasants, and it's lovely seeing them. It just takes you away from the day-to-day hustle and bustle. So I hope that helps you understand a little bit more what mindfulness is. When we talk about mindfulness walking, mindfulness eating, we're talking about really focusing on what you're doing. And right now I'm talking to you. But I still have an element, I'm stopping and pausing and listening, looking at all the beautiful colours, all the different shades, even the differences between the fields, where the colour's quite dark in the background and paler in the foreground. And I love this little gateway down here. It's something that a lot of horses spook out when they ride through. I guess because of the distances in light, but it's like a little gate that you go down where you've got sort of nothing and then this gateway to somewhere. It's a beautiful landscape, and a lot of people are quite critical of the Fens. They think it's very dreary because it's so flat, but within that flat there is magic, and coming up here when there is a sunset is wonderful, because you see it for all its glory, and people who do visit the Fens will say it's just sky. There is just sky everywhere, and it's a beautiful place. And there is actually a lot of history. I think There's some deer over there in the field. I'll try and get a bit closer. There's a lot of history in this area as well, and sometimes when you're practicing mindfulness and relaxation, you can sometimes get carried away and really kind of imagine what life would have been like around here hundreds and thousands of years ago. There were Romans and all sorts living in this area. Where I'm walking now would have been underwater, but it still would have been sort of very marshy, but there would have still been people nearby. And when you do these kind of mindfulness exercises, you can allow your mind to relax from the day to day and go into another place. And it's so good for you. It's so good for you to break away from the norm. So there are actually some deer. I wish my camera would flip, but it won't. You probably won't see them. They're sort of catch me thingy around there, but little muntjac deer, which actually are a very invasive species. They're not native to the UK. They're very small and very prevalent, and it looks like they're also eating the crop of a nearby farmer, which is not ideal, but you know, I appreciate them for what they are. It's not their fault that they were introduced here. So coming to the end of my walk, probably done my limit for today. Now time for a lovely cup of coffee and perhaps a bit of fruitcake to get me going for the rest of the day. See, this is a nice place because you can hear the wind rustling through the reeds. So I would really, really encourage you, if you can try and come out every day, just for 5 minutes outside, feel the fresh air in your face. If you don't like the cold or the bad weather, wrap up. I've got a very, very warm fleece on today. And just really take advantage of the outside, because going outside really does improve on your mental health. And if you're somebody that really struggles with going out, it can become a bit of a difficult cycle of always being in, and just taking that first step to go outside and just breathe. Just breathe and just listen for 5 minutes and then step back in. And you'll find that doing those little things will make a difference. Being more in tune with what's around you. You won't feel so lonely. So that's my advice for this week. Go outside for 5 minutes every day. Listen to what's around you. Look. Notice all those lovely details, like that tree, look how it's leaning into all the others. See if you can pick out all the birds. You could start recording them and then playing on the app so you can start identifying who the birds are and seeing if you notice a pattern of when the birds come out. You can create it however you want, but the key thing is that you use mindfulness in a way that works for you. And for me, it is literally just looking and listening, and that's what works for me. I hope that was helpful, and I'm sorry about my rubbish phone and the state of me, and I will hopefully see you all soon. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.